What's going on, everyone? So for like a month now, give or take, Dejounte Murray to the Lakers has been what seems to be a likely outcome. We've gotten countless reports that have said basically all signs point to that. At some point, they're trying to figure out a third team to take D'Angelo Russell. Right? We've heard the news that hey, no other teams are really making serious offers. Several of the teams have completely dropped out of the Dejounte Murray race. So Lakers are probably going to get Dejounte Murray. Well, yesterday we got a report from Mark Stein saying kind of the opposite of what everyone else has been saying. Basically that it appears that the trade is very unlikely, that both sides have basically stopped talks and it has completely flatlined. But here's my thing. What is there to talk about, right? That's my biggest point. The Lakers know what they want to give up. The Atlanta Hawks are aware of what the Lakers are willing to give up. What else is there to talk about? Great example is last year with Utah, right? Utah wanted basically everything and then some from the Lakers. You didn't hear anything from that. And then all of a sudden, the deal went through. Because, again, Utah knew what the Lakers were willing to offer. Utah knew what the Lakers were willing to give up. There was no need to have this dialogue and back and forth to basically just re-say the same thing over and over again. After I've heard you tell me 10 times, I don't need to hear it again, right? To me, it makes sense that talks have stagnated, right? There is no reason to pick those up until you're ready to make the trade. And Atlanta's in no rush. They don't even technically have to trade Dejounte Murray. I think that they will. I think that they'll make an effort just because I think they have to. Even if it's not to the Lakers, I think they'll try to send him somewhere because I don't see his value going up, right? It's not working in Atlanta. It's not going to work with Atlanta. And more teams are starting to drop out of the Atlanta Dejounte Murray race. And if the Lakers, who seem to be the one team to put out a serious offer and actually want him, if they end up going a different direction, then who's going to pick up Dejounte Murray? Now, obviously, something could happen next season, but you run the risk. It's a big risk that Atlanta could just end up being stuck with Dejounte Murray or having to basically sell him for half of what the Lakers gave up for him or were willing to give up for him. But let's say the Lakers don't get Dejounte Murray. What do the Lakers do at that point, right? So based on the report from Mark Stein, D'Angelo Russell's play as of late has been a big factor in the Lakers starting to question, should they trade D'Lo for Dejounte Murray? Is it a real significant upgrade? Because it's not like you're just swapping D'Lo for Murray. You're giving up D'Lo, which you have to find a third team to take, which that team is probably going to want some type of assets unless you can convince a team hey, look at how good D'Lo's playing. Don't you want him? And they would want him, but how many teams are really in the market for a point guard is the problem, right? It's why Atlanta doesn't have many suitors. And on top of having to find a third team, you have to give up basically a first and a pick swap to go and get him. Is it worth it for the Lakers at that point, right? And the Lakers have no interest in trading Austin Reeves, which I have been in the camp of I think that they should keep D'Lo and trade Reeves. I know that there's all the financial things. Look, I've talked about it heavily enough. Go watch the previous video from yesterday if you want to hear me kind of break down that side of things. So basically, to skim over that, I don't think the financial implications of keeping D'Lo are going to be as significant as it's being led to believe. Because if D'Lo is as good as he has been, then he's going to be worth every penny. If he doesn't, then he's going to opt in, and now you have an $18 million expiring contract and 3 first-round picks to now go and get maybe even a bigger, better player. And they'd have 3 first, not counting swaps and stuff. So they'd have a ton of ammunition to go and get somebody else. So to me, if you trade Reeves, you could probably keep your first-round pick. Atlanta gets the guy that they want. You get the guy that you want. It's a win-win for everybody. But if you're not going to trade D'Lo and you're going to keep D'Lo, I'm fine with that. Totally okay with that, right? If you want to just kind of keep things intact, I don't necessarily think we're a contender, but I do think that if we get to the playoffs, I will take our chances. The only team that I'm worried about in the playoffs is the Denver Nuggets. That's it. I'm not worried about the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're too big against them. Not worried about the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll be fine. We'll beat them. We've beaten them every time it counted. And the Clippers, not sold on Clippers with Paul George and James Harden's just disappearing act in the playoffs. Not worried about that. You could count them like 2 games at least where they're just completely disappearing. The Lakers seem to have their number this year, even with James Harden and all that stuff. The only person you have to worry about is Kawhi Leonard. Russell Westbrook probably plays like 6 minutes a game in the postseason, so not really worried about the Clippers. The Suns, again, not really worried about them. We've had their number. We've been fine with them. They don't have defense. They lack size and depth. Lakers should be able to just dominate that matchup. Again, Denver, the one team that I look at and go, okay, they would be tough. They will be a problem. Outside of that, I think the Lakers could be in the conference finals. I think that they could win the Western Conference. But I do think the Lakers need to do other things. So there's the buyout market. There is very likely going to be several players on the buyout market. Chris Paul is a potential. You got Kyle Lowry as a potential. Gordon Hayward, who I would love. Like, if we could get 2 things on the buyout market, obviously I'd like a center. If one becomes available, we'll see. Time will tell. But outside of a center, if we could get Gordon Hayward and like Chris Paul on a buyout, to me, that would be huge. I understand both those guys are injury prone. I understand both those guys are not the guys that they once were. But on vet minimum deals, playing limited bench roles would be huge for the Lakers, right? Talking about Gordon Hayward, who's a Swiss Army knife still, who could go get you on any given night still, give you 15, 5, and 5, right? But you're probably not asking him to do that. You're probably playing him like 10 to 15 minutes, and you're playing like Chris Paul 10 to 15 minutes, right? Just give you 2 veterans that can play in the postseason. So there's a buyout market as potential. Otherwise, you're looking to just kind of upgrade around the edges, right? Can you take Rui Hachimura and maybe go get a 3-and-D wing or some upgrades, right? Can you get a Bruce Brown without having to give up a first-round pick and keeping D'Lo and Austin Reeves? If you got Bruce Brown, personally, I would want to move Austin Reeves to the bench and put Bruce Brown as your starting 2 and basically run D'Lo and Bruce Brown. I like the idea of that. And then having Reeves off the bench. So could you do something where you go get Bruce Brown or maybe get like a Gary Trent Jr. or several other pieces, right? Maybe go get Royce O'Neal, Dorian Finney-Smith, something along those lines. I would love to go get some pieces like that. Basically just upgrade in positions of need. Go get maybe some starting level talent or at least some high like blue chip level rotation guys that could arguably start for you. But maybe you want to keep the cohesiveness and just have them kind of fill in for the rotation. I'd be okay with that 100%. I think that there are still guys out there that right now the asking price for everybody is like insane. You know, everyone wants like 2 firsts for a guy that plays 3 minutes a game. All right. Once you get to the trade deadline, all of a sudden 2 firsts become 2 seconds, right? Or become 1 first and then they settle for 2 seconds. Right? You make your offers high. You're not going to give your best offer in the beginning, right? You know, if you're trying to sell something and you want $20 for that item, right? You don't want to list it as 20 because then people are just going to come in at like 15. So what you do is you list it at like 30 or 40 and then you hope maybe someone comes in at 30, right? And you made 10 more than you wanted. But if no one does and somebody says, oh, hey, we'll give you a 20, you take it. It's kind of what goes on with the trade deadline, right? You're asking for 2 firsts. If somebody gives you 2 firsts, thanks, sucker. There's a sucker born every day, right? Thank you. But maybe they won't give us 2 firsts. Maybe they'll give us 1 first, right? Again, sucker. But, okay, well, if somebody offers us 2 seconds for this guy, we'll take it, right? So that is kind of what's going on. There's the big play. Go get Zach LaVine, right? Chicago gets desperate. Go get Zach LaVine. Now, personally, I am a big Zach LaVine guy. Like, I love the idea of Zach LaVine on the Lakers, but they're not going to trade Reeves and they're not going to trade D'Lo, so they're probably not going to get Zach LaVine. Although, if maybe Chicago just says, like, hey, just take him, or you could get like a Caruso or something in the deal just to unload Zach LaVine, then maybe the Lakers would consider it. But With Zach LaVine's injury concerns, he's out another week for reevaluations. That could very well just be, hey, we're going to trade him, or we want to trade him, so let's not risk him getting hurt, right? So let's keep him out. That very well could be the case, but it's just, there's too many concerns that I just don't see the Lakers taking the chance. I don't see the Lakers taking the risk. There's also the possibility of some other star becoming available between now and the trade deadline. I mean, there were talks weeks ago about Kyrie Irving being unhappy and potentially want out. Now, I don't want to start the Kyrie to the Lakers rumors again. Not trying to do that, but I'm just using him as an example as like, you never know. Guys seem happy right now. Tomorrow, all of a sudden you get a report that this guy wants out. It happens all the time. So that could be a possibility, and maybe the Lakers could get in play and pick a way up or pick somebody up that way. There's options and flexibility there. But I think ultimately, I still think Dejounte Murray is going to end up. I was in the camp originally that there's no way that the Lakers land Dejounte Murray. I thought the Lakers just didn't have enough assets to get Dejounte Murray. And now maybe I'm right from my initial thoughts on the deal. But now that we have, new information, and now that teams seem to basically be good on Dejounte Murray, I actually think the Lakers realistically can get him. And I think Atlanta's going to ultimately trade him. I just do. Again, I could be completely wrong. It's just a guess. I'm not some insider. I am just the guy. But I do think Atlanta, it's in their best interest to trade Dejounte Murray. And if the Lakers are the best package available, I think that they trade him to the Lakers. Now, that doesn't mean somebody can't come out of left field and end up swooping him up, right? It's a very real possibility. Somebody could absolutely come in and swoop him up. But I think if the Lakers maintain, and they are the only real offer, like what's being reported right now, I think he ends up a Laker. Right? And we've just gotten so many reports that that's the case. Right? Mark Stein, he didn't report himself that it's not going to happen. He said that he was told by one person that it's unlikely. But we have gotten literally countless reports from numerous people that have all said Dejounte Murray to the Lakers is likely. So to me, it just comes down to like, what side do you believe? Do you believe the one guy that said it isn't, or do you believe the 10 guys that have said it is? Now, obviously, things always change. I just lean towards like Mark Stein reported that talks have basically, that there's no more talks, that the Lakers and Atlanta aren't engaged in conversations anymore, and there aren't talks anymore. I didn't even think that they would be right now. Why would they be? Again, there's nothing else to talk about. And the reports we got like a week ago was that the Lakers and Hawks weren't going to re-engage till a couple days before the trade deadline. So to me, I'm telling you, and again, I could be completely wrong, but I believe Lakers will get back from the road trip. Once they get back from the road trip, you're going to get a report that Lakers and the Hawks have restarted negotiations, right? So basically the Lakers have their last game February 5th. February 5th is their last game against the Charlotte Hornets on the road trip, and then they come home. On the 6th or the 7th, get ready for the report that the Lakers and the Hawks have talked again. I'm telling you. But anyway, again, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are you somewhere in between? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I would love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.